Okay. But it's too early to tell them to type,
Yeah,
right?
it's too early. Yeah, because the gates are not open yet.
Yeah.
Okay, live now.
So I think how have we been?
You're lagging, Kate.
Is it? You can't hear me?
Yeah, you lagged for a moment there.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, better.
All right. So my question to you, how have you been keeping while
Ah,
waiting for the numbers to come in?
I mean, okay, I've been doing the same old thing actually. Part of the day is preparing for this MIEA talks and stuff. And of course, every day the learning still continues. Then on the other hand, I'm also giving some direction to the team, lah, what they should focus on and things like that. So they so far have been doing calls, they've been doing their postings and all that. So they have generated some leads, but just cannot go and view.
No
So as
viewings.
no viewing lah. And then to force a client to buy without bought a customer to buy without seeing is still another level. It's another level still.
That's why I heard that there are some people who actually managed
Close,
to
yeah.
induce. I thought that's amazing.
Maybe new projects, yeah. But I think maybe new projects possible, but sub-sale, unless the price is like way super cheap or something or what, then you don't even need to see to make a decision. But I think as a general rule, yeah, viewing is still important because of the buyers. I mean, as a buyer, you need to make sure that you are seeing what you buy. Then later, you don't buy the wrong thing. Didn't realize the house was this. Didn't realize the house was that. Then start the blame game.
Yeah,
That happened. What? That's why today we're coming to viewing and inspection. The MEAS. Actually, there is a point there. And the MEAS, it doesn't say that you can allow your client to view the property without you.
Okay. Are there many changes on that part?
No. I think standard number, which we are going through later, not much changes, these two standards. But still worth to revisit some of the points. Still worth to revisit.
So that's
what have you been doing? Kate, what have you been doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Actually, still okay. I mean, I've got lots of paperwork to catch up with, so been keeping busy.
Yeah, you're lagging.
I'm lagging?
Slightly some pause here and there.
Oh, give me a second.
Okay.
Forgot to on my PC. My PC is running on battery.
Okay.
What's the numbers now? We are 45 packs. I think we shall give it another minute or so.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, so I was busy catching up with all my paperwork and filing, and then of course in the office we've been like trying to set up systems, to get ready when we finally open up for work. So all paperwork and planning. Some of my rents, not mine directly, is under Nixon's, under commercial, so they do investment. So they've been proposing lah. So some of them are keeping busy, and the rest are. And it's extended for another until May 12, another 2 weeks. So, somebody, Alicia Chan, say hi, I Ching and Kate and all here.
Hello.
So as usual, I Ching, I will do the intro, after which you will present, and then they will key in their questions and we'll handle the Q&A at the end of the session. Is that how we do it?
Yeah, because if they forget, you see, because sometimes as the session is going, they may have questions. Then rather than they keep it until the end only ask, they can immediately put into the Q&A chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, then at least,
then we will attend to it.
Yeah, at the end.
End of the session.
Yeah.
I think we have some people. Oh, Robert Ting say thank you. Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Okay. Okay, it's 3 o'clock now.
One thing good about this online stuff, we all start on time. There's no delays, right? 3 o'clock is 3 o'clock. Not like in, usual times in MIA when we have our events, sometimes delay by 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good thing. We have all improved in a certain way.
Then it come back, it will be the new way of doing things where everybody become more health conscious and time conscious as well.
Hmm.
We have 69 packs now.
Okay.
Yeah. So somebody say what? Okay, let's look at the while waiting for another 1 minute. Fong Hang says, afternoon, everyone. A lot of greetings. Either good afternoon or thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next Wong say hi, I Ching and Kate. Okay, I think we shall start, shall
Okay.
we? All right. Good afternoon, everyone who has logged in. My name is Kate, and I'll be the host for today's session. The topic is on viewing and inspection, as well as client's account, standard 8 and 9. So our speaker for today is Chan Ai Ching. I'm sure all of you know her already. She has already presented the earlier few parts of the MEAS. Ai Ching is the president-elect of MIEA for the term 2019 and to 2021. She's also the board member of the Board of Valuers, Appraisers, Estate Agents, and Property Managers for the term 2019 to 2021 again. As well. She runs SK Brothers. She runs and manages SK Brothers Realty in Berhad, and she's quite long in the industry, I think, since 1999.
Yes.
Yeah, a wealth of experience behind you. Okay, so are you ready to start the presentation?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
over to you, Ai Ching, and I'll be back in about half an hour, okay?
In about half an hour. Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much, Kate. Welcome again, everyone, to today's continuing series of the MEAS, something very important, the standards that's governing the way that we do our business, more professionally, and elevating the standards. Okay, I think as everyone is well aware that our MCO has been further extended to May 12th. I'm not sure how many of you are actually very excited about it. Maybe we'll just do a simple poll. Maybe in the chat box, how many of you, I mean, if you type 1, if you're actually getting used to being at home, working from home and kind of, adapting, or 2, can't wait to get out. Come, let's see some responses. 1 for getting used to it, 2 for can't wait to get out. Okay, actually, it's quite balanced. That is quite interesting. Okay, rather interesting, the polls that we're getting back here. Okay, good. Keep sharing so that we can get your feedback as well. Okay, all right. I will skip along to the next screen on the part 5, actually. Today is part 5 of the Malaysian Estate Agency Standards on 2 subject matters, viewing and client's account. Okay, in a way, it's quite timely that we're discussing on the subject matter of viewing, because how many of us can actually go out and do any viewing right now in the MCO state? Of course, none of us can legally. Okay, so just again, just to recap for those who have viewing this for the first time, joining us on our series, our real estate profession is governed by 4 broad items listed on the screen here. The Act 242, the Rules 1986, they come together. The standards, which is what we're talking about today, the Malaysian Estate Agency Standards, 3rd edition, 2020, just recently amended. And of course, the circular directives and guidelines. Okay, just very quickly, I will go and click on this circulars. I hope it still shows my screen. If you look here, this is a typical circular that's issued by the board. Okay, like the board will issue a circular on this particular matter is on Malaysian Estate Agency Standards, that it came into force 2nd of January. And of course, we're given 2 months grace period to comply. And if anybody want to purchase, it's sold at 20 ringgit at the board. Okay, so it's a typical circular. Okay, there's also another circular that I want to show you guys. Wait, just give me one moment to close this box. Okay, can you all see this particular screen on the addressing your queries to related officers of the board? Yes? Let me just see your chat. Yeah, okay, you all can see. Okay, so addressing your queries to related officers at the board. Okay, I think this circular was just issued just a couple of moments ago. I think some of you all have been trying to contact the board, and apparently some registrants has failed to have their queries addressed by any officers in charge. Perhaps your email has gone to the wrong person. So the board has actually issued a circular to let you all know who is in charge of what and the email address attached to the relevant department. Okay, so in the first case here, as you can see on the screen, Pushpa is in charge of probationary valuers, TPC accreditation, and TPC matters. So her email address is exams@lpph.gov.my. May, of course, is in charge of matters relating to the board, exco, disciplinary board, and things like that. Josephine is in charge of complaints and general inquiry on complaint matters. Josephine. I think Josephine was taken over Nicholas' position in the past, if some of you who have known Nicholas, yeah. Then Audrey is in charge of foreign exhibitions and also general inquiries relating to EAPC and PMs and stuff like that. And of course, the list goes on. Okay, so this circular is already posted on the board website, lpph.gov.my. So it's on the homepage itself. So you guys can go and have a look at it, download it, and make sure that your queries are going to the right party. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Okay, so now let me go back to my screen. Yeah, give me a moment. Okay, yeah. Oh, so sorry about that. Wait, okay. All right. Okay, so back to this again. Yeah. Okay, so moving quickly along. So we have already covered quite a number of subject matters under the new MEAS. We've covered Standard 1, Estate Agency Office, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Standard 7 co-agency was covered by our MIA CEO, PP Soma. And so today we're going to talk about Standard 8, Viewing and Inspections. Okay, all right. Under the revision, the new MEAS revision versus the old, there isn't actually too much changes. I'll address what the changes are, but I'll also go through what is generally the idea behind the standard number 8. Okay, so of course, viewing refers to inspection, viewing or inspections, they call it, by the prospective party before they purchase or they rent a property. So under the law of agency, I think we discussed this under terms of appointment. Under the law of agency, the agent must promote the interests of the client. So who is the client? The client is the person who engage your services. Okay, so with that one, we must be very clear. Okay, of course, having said that, although we have to promote the interests of our client, but we must be also fair to all parties. Okay, now come to next, the statements of the standard. Okay, of course, I think this is also common sense that an estate agent shall not, without first obtaining any approval from the client, to put any form of advertisement for sale on a property. So sometimes, some owners have complained to the board and said that I've never engaged this agent to sell my property. How come he's advertising my property on the property portals? And then this becomes an issue, and this complaint is investigated, and for unnecessary reasons, you end up into some problems. Yeah. So please make sure that you have first obtained approval from your client. And like I mentioned earlier, always insist on a written engagement or somewhere written about the fact that you have been engaged to do your estate agency services. Okay. And of course, after you have obtained the engagement, then you can address the inquiries of relevant prospective parties interested. And of course, your duty as an estate agent and real estate negotiator, you should not make any factually unsupported statement of the property listed. Okay.
Actually,
yes.
Your slides are not moving.
Oh dear.
Are you still on the same first slide?
No. I've moved on to a few slides already, actually.
So it's not on the screen. It's not moving. So I think you.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Luckily, you prompted me on it. Wait, hang on a moment. Is this okay now?
Yes. Now it's a full screen. Yeah, we got it.
Now it's okay.
Not moving, I will prompt you again.
Oh dear. So you guys must have missed quite a bit, but it's okay. I just quickly glanced through again. 8.1.2, I mentioned about the law of agency, promoting the interest of your client. And I also talked about obtaining the client's approval first under 8.2.1. And now we're coming to 8.2.4, where whatever I've highlighted in blue is something new based on the previous MEAS and the current MEAS. Okay, so under the new revision, under 8.2.4, the estate agents are encouraged to use a listing fact sheet. Okay.
I think, sorry
Yes.
again. On the screen, we are seeing the introduction slide.
Oh, again,
So
wait,
it's
hold
not
on.
going down. I
Okay,
think.
wait. Yeah, I think it's not moving at all.
The slides are not moving, but we can hear you very, very clearly though.
Why is this so funny? Okay, you let me know if it's moving, yeah?
Okay. Now I see your face.
Now you see my face. No, this one. How about, wait, this one? How about this? Do you see this?
Okay, now I see standard 8, viewing/inspections. Yep.
Is it moving?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Now it's moving,
Yes.
Is it moving now?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Apologies for the technicality, yeah. So again, I need to show the screen again. 8.1.2, law of agency to promote the interest of your client. And then I mentioned also 8.2.1 that you have to first obtain the approval from your client before you place any form of advertisement. Don't get complained about this to the board. And the new addition is 8.2.4, which is the estate agent is encouraged to use a listing fact sheet or an equivalent document to record the details of each listing, including the terms and conditions of the sale, letting, lease, and or the inventory list if applicable, and to update it accordingly as and when required. Okay, why did the listing fact sheet thing come about? Okay, because sometimes when we are doing a listing appointment, maybe some of us also we assume a lot of things, especially because properties in Malaysia is very straightforward. If your property is within a certain taman, the size is so and so. Maybe it's 2275, it's 2275. If you go to another place, if 1,000 square feet is 1,000 square feet condo. So sometimes due to practices, we sometimes fail to record or to confirm the facts relating to the property, and which has also caused complaints from the public against the services of estate agents and real estate negotiators, that when you presented the property to me at the time, you mentioned a certain point about the property that was not correct, inaccurate. So and that has brought about a lot of complaints. And so in order to protect ourselves and also to protect our clients and customers, the board has decided that this listing fact sheet and also the property inspection and disclosure form is something that they would like to see practice. Okay, notice here is not master. The estate agent is not mandatory to use it, but is encouraged. And I think perhaps the word encourage could lead to in future becoming something mandatory, but at this point in time, under the revised MEAS, is encouraged. And I believe it is with good intention that that we both that all parties are protected when it comes to the factual information about the property. Okay, later I'll go through what are the listing fact sheet and also the property inspection and disclosure form. Okay, so under the item B, the property inspection and disclosure form, or they say equivalent document, whichever the case may be, is to record and disclose the pertinent facts. Okay, back in, I think 2 sessions ago, I covered the topic on what is pertinent facts. It's facts that if the buyer or the tenant knows would change their decision to buy or rent at that particular price or rate. Okay, so if things like that were to, it's like about this sort of pertinent facts, then it has to be disclosed, because if the buyer knew about it, she may not proceed with the sale. Or even she knows about it, at least she know, and if she want to proceed is with, if she's well aware of the situation. So whatever the case may be, the pertinent facts, which is the relevant and facts pertaining to that subject property, is made known. Okay. Of course, some people ask, how about the haunted house situation? Is haunted house a pertinent fact? Yeah. So there's difference between what is spoken of and what is a fact. Of course, if your property is listed as the top 10 most haunted house in that area, then obviously it has that particular information has now become a very pertinent fact that a buyer needs to know if there was such a poll to be done. Yeah, apparently there's such a case that happened in the US. Okay, of course, under C, the estate agent is also encouraged that every viewing, you use a viewing form. Okay, the board has also provided a viewing form and is to be signed by the prospects. Okay, now I'll go through the listing fact sheet. Yeah, so basically this is the listing fact sheet. Is to get the details of the property correct, like tenure, land area, build-up area. You know, this land area and build-up area is a very a dangerous a figure to simply put in there, you know, and advise your customers who called, because if the land area, if you happen to quote a land area bigger than it is, and later the client, I mean the buyer who buys, say that, hey, I thought you told me that the land is 5463, but it's 5436. Wow, it's short by that amount of square feet. Now how? So there could be a lot of legal implications due to an error of advising. So to counter all these, actually, long ago also in our listing forms, there's always stated that we must try to get a copy of the title. Once you have secured a copy of the title, things like the land area will no longer be a issue of ambiguity. Okay. Of course, the furnishing part of it also quite important. I mean, a lot of disputes happen also because sometimes the property is sold so-called fully furnished, but when the buyer takes over, oh, certain items are no longer there and things like that. Okay. And renovation, yeah, we've written here approve or not approve. Wow, this one is also very interesting because certain of the extensions that especially for landed property, back extension, front extension and all that, do they actually have the necessary Bandaraya approval of such? And if so, you know, things we can also you can mention there lah, yes or no, or things like that. Okay, and then whatever other things mentioned, whether there's any history on the property or not, and all that, whatever it is, you just note it down, get as much information as you can from the seller, and this will form your listing fact sheet. Okay, now it comes to the property viewing acknowledgement. All right, this form is very useful to prove that this client, this buyer or tenant saw the property through you. Okay, a lot of people ask in the past, how does the owner know that I am the one who showed this property to him or he viewed the property through me? This is it. You put your client's particulars there, you put his name, his handphone number or whatever, and then you put the property address under point number 2, what he has seen, at what time, what were the remarks, what were the price, and more importantly, it must be signed by him. He must be acknowledged by the tenant or the purchaser that he indeed saw this property through you. Okay, of course, under the bottom section, they also write here, I acknowledge and confirm that I inspected the property and will obtain through the efforts and services rendered by so and so. So that if we are interested, we will negotiate with the owner through this company only. Of course, this is the standard viewing form that the board has suggested that we implement. So you all can make some amendments from here. But the general idea is that this confirms that the buyer or the tenant saw the property through you. Okay, then the board added in the latest MEAS, there was another addition form here, which is a bit interesting. This form is the viewer's acknowledgement on properties inspected. It seems similar. But actually, this one is to be given to the, at first, we were also a little bit confused why there's 2 forms in the recent MEAS. One is and both seem similar, but we believe that the viewer's acknowledgement of properties inspected is more for us to confirm that we have brought this buyer to this client's property and getting the client to acknowledge that this buyer saw his property through us. Okay, so two types. One is the tenant or the buyer acknowledging that he saw the property through you, One is the owner or the landlord acknowledging that you introduced this, but you showed this, you brought this buyer or tenant to the property, to my property. So two different angles there. Okay, so now we move on. And of course, here, 8.2.5 is a new addition. And it's written here, the listing agent is encouraged to be present during all viewing inspections, including cases of co-agency. Okay. What has happened what must have given rise to this is that, could there have been a situation where the listing agent is not present and the client and the buyer or tenant has visited the property on their own? Or in instances of co-agency that the listing agent told the co-agent, you just carry on and show the property to your prospect and then update me after. Collect the key from me and then you do whatever you need to do and then return the key to me. I think this must have given rise to why the board has felt that this new addition is important, that the listing agent is encouraged. Okay, of course, it didn't say must be present, because you are responsible as the listing agent on the property. If later on something were to happen in the property, say, maybe some items are missing or all that, then there'll be a lot of finger pointing. Oh no, you took the key, you were the one there. And then, then said, no, it's not my fault. And, all this ambiguity and confusion for no reason. So sometimes it's very disturbing when you want to work to have this sort of interference. So it's best that if you are doing a co-agency, as the listing agent, be present together with your co-agent, for all the inspections and viewings. Okay, all right. And okay, the rest remains the same. Of course, documentations and fairness and all that remains the same. Okay, now it comes to 8.2.8. Again, they stress an estate agent, unless he's a registered valuer, shall not communicate in writing to any person an opinion on the value of the property, as whatever the estate agent say may be construed as a formal valuation. Okay, this one was also highlighted earlier, but it's repeated here because they really want to let estate agents know that we are not supposed to communicate anything in writing on any opinions of value. Which means we cannot, on our letterhead, ABC Realty, say that, dear Mr. Owner, I believe your property is valued at this price. No. I don't think we are authorized to submit such a letter, but we are able to communicate the pricing, the asking price of the property in a different way. We can do by comparative market analysis. That means we tell the client, okay, this is what has been transacted over the last 6 months or 1 year. Properties of your similar type is going at how much? And in our opinion, the asking price, anyway, the asking prices on the portals are asking for this much. So your property, if you want to be competitive, your pricing should be this much. This is possible to communicate, but not an opinion on the value. Yeah, similar to like a valuation report lah. Okay, because in a valuation report, there's also one formal report. There's also a single page opinion of value also. So I think they didn't want us confusing our role in providing the opinion of value. Okay, so let's okay, that's re-emphasized. Okay, under explanations to the standards, 8.3.1. Okay, the board has been, of course, they have received numerous complaints about poster wars on a particular landlord's property. That means in front of all his shutters, there are tons of stickers or posters stuck all over his ground floor shutters and things like that. So this is deemed as a bane of the profession. So we don't want any of this happening anymore, poster wars. Everyone's sticking, I mean, one signboard for one property is sufficient. You don't have to stick like 10. I mean, your number is there, visible, clear, following, complying. The potential customer, the potential buyer or tenant will be able to see and call. In fact, they will find that it's a lot more professional when signages are done well, and not so many in one particular place. Okay, and of course, 8.2.4c, which I mentioned earlier, is to encourage for every property inspection a record of the details of the viewing by properties. Of course, sometimes this can be a challenge to get the tenant or the buyer to sign, especially if you've written there, you are tying them and say that, hey, if you want to buy, come back to me, you cannot negotiate to any other party. So sometimes they may hesitate and things like that. But I think that if all of us start practicing it and it becomes a norm in the market, then this will also slowly but surely will no longer be an issue. So we just have to keep at it. And I personally practice this, and sometimes people say, hey, what is it? Then they simply just initial, doesn't matter. It's for the record that they have put their signature on it. They are well aware that they have committed something to me, and it's in the back of their mind. And I believe those are the reasons, the behind the scene reasons why they will still come back to you, because of this subconscious thing that they have just initialed on your forms. Okay. All right, an example. Okay, some people say, what is an example of unsupported statement or not a proper facts? Okay, so an example of a factually unsupported statement would be, let's say you are selling a piece of land, and then you say that, oh yeah, the adjacent piece of land is an open space. Nothing is going to be built over there. When that statement was made without adequate knowledge or without first checking with the relevant authorities. So it's like you hear say, and then you just repeated it. Oh yeah, this space will be, nothing will be developed on that site. So then that will become like a statement, unsupported statement, and it will be factually inaccurate. So if you don't know, I always say, if not too sure, then either you tell the client, tell the buyer or the tenant, I will check it out and get back to you. From what I heard, this is what people have said, but of course, this information needs to be verified. And then I think it's okay. Yeah, you can say, yeah, I believe I've heard from the owner that this area is designated as an open space, so there won't be anything blocking the view of your property. But however, it's best that you check with the relevant authorities to confirm whether this information is so. Then at least it protects you from any potential wrong information shared. Okay, I'm supposed to cover client's account also, but I'm already coming to 3:30. So what should I do, Kate?
You still have 10 minutes, Sanchi, at
I do?
least. Yep.
Okay, I still have
We
10 minutes.
started.
Okay. All right, then I'll go on to client's account. All right. Okay, client's account. Of course, the purpose of maintaining a client's account is to ensure that the monies entrusted to an estate agent or real estate negotiator is properly recorded in an account maintained and monitored by the firm. So, of course, this comes under the fiduciary duties of an estate agent, and the board views these kind of matters very, very seriously. That means if there was any complaint from any client or customer with regards to client's account, earnest deposit, booking deposit, things like that, the board views this as top priority, and these are the cases that will be looked in almost immediately when there are such complaints that come to the board. So this is because it's very important that our fiduciary duties, we maintain it, okay, we keep it, and not spoil our reputation because of it. Okay, so an estate agent must keep at least one client's account. Okay, so how does this client account look like? So the client account will look like this. So if let's say my company is ABC Realty, okay, so my client's account will be ABC Realty client's account. You can go to any bank, they will set it up for you without any issue, because we are we are authorized to collect monies as stakeholder. Okay, similar to lawyers, so they are very well aware. So you will have to have a dedicated client's account, and whatever money that is received by you as the real estate agent or real estate negotiator, without delay means fast. The money you receive must quickly transfer into the client's account upon the client acceptance of the buyer or tenant's offer. Okay, so that means if let's say today you collected a deposit for a sale of a property, the moment the owner said, okay, he signs on the form, straight away, you have to take that money and deposit it into the client's account immediately. Okay, not 1 week later, not 2 weeks later, not 1 month later. there was some situation where there were certain cases where there was some delay in the agent banking in the check after the transaction was accepted by both parties. Subsequently, the buyer cancelled the check. Now how? The owner asks you to collect the deposit, and the deposit is supposed to be in your client's account, but because you forgot to bank it in, now the customer has cancelled the stop check. And now you're answerable to your owner where the money is. Okay, that will be another situation also. Okay, now, all right. This line, 9.2.2, the last line, which is unless otherwise agreed with the client, must be read together with 9.2.3. Otherwise, it's very confusing. Yeah. So unless, okay, let me read. Unless otherwise agreed with the client, the estate agent shall not be obliged to pay into the client's account any monies held or received by them in form of cash in the ordinary course of business to the client or a third party authorized by the client, or in the form of check or draft. Which means to say that if the client says, no, I don't want you to deposit the earner's deposit or the booking fee into your client's account, I want it paid to me, or I want it paid to my lawyer. So in those kind of instances where it's specified very directly by the client himself, then you need not deposit that money into your client's account. Okay. All right. And of course, we also talk about the estate agent shall only withdraw monies from the client's account in circumstances as laid out in Rule 53. I'll flash Rule 53 later. And of course, interest-bearing client's account. Nowadays, seriously, there's hardly any interest-bearing accounts in current accounts. But anyway, if let's say the money has to be held there for a long period of time, then the interest earned shall be accounted to the client as well. Okay, and of course, every estate agent, in order to continue our practice, we always have insurance cover, so no issue on this. It all covers. Okay, I just wanted to show you Rule 53, extracted from the rules and the Act. Which specifies in more detail what is supposed to be done with the client's account and when you can withdraw and who can withdraw. All right. Okay. Under 9.2.7, every 12 months, the estate agent must submit to the board an auditor's report with regards to the client's account. There is a particular form, I'll show you later, how it's supposed to look like. I think all of us have been doing it, but for those who are new and going to set up your firm, please note that this is a requirement to renew your registration to practice every year. Okay, I'm not sure whether the link will work, but I shall try. Did it work? I'm not too sure whether the link worked. But,
no, it's not.
It's not working. Okay, just let me flash that particular form again. All right. Okay. Okay. This is certificate under Rule 59. This is the one that we have to fill up in for our renewal, and this is the one that the auditor will prepare. They will say that, okay, we have examined the books, we have checked everything, and we found that everything is satisfactory. So this is the kind of report the board wants out of every estate agent who has a client's account. Okay. Now I switch back. Give me a moment. Okay. Am I back to that screen?
Yeah, you're back to that link.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so okay, no money shall be withdrawn from the client's account except by a check drawn in favor of the vendor, purchaser, landlord, or tenant. Okay, we were reading this 9.2.10 and we were wondering, in today's day and time, do we still issue checks from the client's account back to the vendor, purchaser, landlord, or tenant? Or are we using internet banking most of the time in view of the speed? But however, under the standards, it says here, no money shall be drawn from a client's account except by a check drawn in favor of the vendor, purchaser, landlord, or tenant, or any other party duly authorized by the client. Okay, I think the reason why the money shouldn't be returned to the vendor, purchaser, landlord, or tenant in cash is because then there is no trace. There's no proper trace of the client's account monies coming in, going out to who and who and who. So that's the reason why the word check came about, because with the check, then there's a payee, and of course, then the bank will deposit the money into, it will go into a particular person's a bank account. So that it avoid cases like refunding the earner's deposit to another party via cash, but supposedly paying back to the vendor. So I think the whole idea behind this particular statement is to address that issue, that money must be paid back to only people who are supposed to receive it. And there's only a few parties who are supposed to receive it. It's either the vendor, the purchaser, the landlord, the tenant, or into the and after it has been refunded, then of course the balance of the money will be transferred back to your operating account as your professional fees. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Then okay. I think there's also mentioned that no sum shall be transferred from the account of a client to another, except in exceptional case, in circumstances in which it would have been permissible under the rules. All right. And okay, the changes under the 9.2.13 is actually an addition in under 9.2.13.4, where it says usually the signatory of a client's account must be an estate agent, a partner, a director who is an estate agent all the way. Okay, but under 13.4, in exceptional circumstances, a person not falling within the above three who is expressly authorized by the board. That means the board is providing an opening in situations where a signatory that is not any of the three above to be also included as a signatory. So they have allowed that provision. All right. Okay. And I think all of you know that 9.2.14, the board may also appoint an estate agent to operate a client's account of a deceased estate agent who is operating as a sole proprietor. Because you see, the reason why the board is very particular about what is the client's money and what is the operating account, what is the company's operating account, must be very kept separately, because the client's account has to be given, the money is holding in trust for somebody else. So that money is very important, has to be accounted for. Okay, so that's why under the explanation to the standards, the board re-emphasizes that the client's money and the operating account must be kept separate. And okay, 9.3.2 says without delay means within a short period of time. Okay, sometimes when we talk about, let's say we need to refund to the client, okay, the balance of the money collected, within a reasonable time or within a short period of time. So let's say let's say the transaction is done and there was money that you need to refund. Is 1 month later reasonable short period of time? 1 week later reasonable? Or 1 year later? There has been complaints to the board where some companies have held on to the refund for a year. Of course, this is totally unacceptable, because the standards say without delay, meaning within a short period of time, reasonably practicable, practicable. Okay. All right. And of course, we have to maintain a register of all clients' account, which means the money received, who it received by, how much is the sum, what's the capacity, what is the identity of the person, the date of receipt, and all that. Keep it in a proper log. Anyway, this one, your auditor will also ask from you when they want to come out with the audit. They will also request for you to show the flow of the money in and out, including the bank statement where the money came in and out. Okay. All right. And of course, adequacy of coverage, when they talk about the insurance part of it, they say it must be sufficient to meet the said claims. So this one is you have to discuss with your insurance agent who is doing for you the professional indemnity insurance, and to decide whether how much is the right coverage. Is 500,000 sufficient, 2 million sufficient, depending on the turnover and the volume of your business. So this one we have to discuss it with the insurance, and I think MIA is tied up with Howden on MIA Insure. They have also provided some very good and affordable professional indemnity insurance. So that's another option. You can get a quotation before you confirm. So with that, I end this current session on MEAS. Back to you, Kate. Kate? Okay, Kate seemed to be missing from the missing. Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no problem.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Ai Ching.
Okay.
Okay, now shall we attend to the questions?
Yes, yes, yes.
I have a question here from Jolia Cole.
Okay.
So she asks, who shall hold the earnest deposit if there's in the event of a co-agency?
The listing agent.
Okay. So Julia, we hope we covered your question here. The listing agent shall hold the earnest deposit.
Because the listing agent is appointed by the client to hold the earnest deposit. That's the reason.
I suppose this is covered in your earlier part on
Yes, yes, yes.
co-agency also, isn't it?
I think under SOMA session, yeah. But I repeat, yeah, listing agent.
Okay, now there's a question from partly furnished. What is the common understanding? This is a
Should I miss your part of your
sorry. I
question?
think my line is not very
Line is
clear.
lagging. You said something about
A loose definition between
okay.
fully furnished and partly furnished. So Zul Arifin wants to know what is the common understanding.
Oh, common understanding between fully furnished and partly furnished.
Correct.
I think partly furnished would be fixed items like kitchen cabinet, wardrobes, what else? Those built-in stuff. Yeah. Fully furnished is everything. It's including the loose items, the TV, the furniture, table, chair, and all that. So yeah,
Yes.
I think that would be a broad definition.
So Zul, I would like to add, it's always better to get an inventory done
List.
when you take, when you're listing the property or when you are concluding the sale. Okay, Robert Ting has a question on viewing form.
Okay.
How do we encourage them to sign? I think you covered that just now.
Yeah, sometimes it's quite challenging, I must say, to get the client to sign. But sometimes you can make it as say that this is a requirement by my company. My company insists that when I go out for viewing appointments, I need to come back to the office with this document, things like that. So you can put it in different way, yeah, in different ways.
Yes, actually, I also remember doing that. I will tell them that I need to get it signed because I have to provide a report, to the
Yes.
office.
Yeah, whatever creative ideas.
Just scribble, And you can tell that it's very grudging, but at least there's a scribble.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Angeline Fong has a question. Is the viewing form sufficient to protect the rent's interest legally? I don't think so.
This one probably needs to get the advice of a lawyer, but it certainly adds more depth and more depth to your claim. It definitely have more documentation and more substance to your claim. So versus you don't have and you're trying to claim, versus you have and you're trying to claim, it strengthens your case. But how far it can go, this one really need to get the advice of a lawyer lah.
That's true. But actually, I quite like that now under the new MEA, under the new amendments, you also have the landlord's acknowledgement form.
Yes.
So if the landlord were to acknowledge your viewing form as well, together, I think it will strengthen your
yes. All
case
these are
very
strengthened.
much.
In legal, you never know one. You can be right and still not win the case. So in legal, it's very hard to say. But whatever you do that the board has encouraged under the new MEAS is there to help to protect you further.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Which is why as a negotiator, you must always make sure that you, the word I would like to say is that cover your tracks. Make sure that your interest is protected. So it's for the negotiator. Okay, next question from Samuel Ng. Can we inform the property owner of their bank valuation of the property after we have cross-checked it with the banker's valuer? That's a good question.
I think that's fine. That means if you just want to, you say that, dear Mr. Owner, I'll just contact the bank and see what is the bank's valuation on your property and revert to you. Yeah, that's no issue. That's not giving any opinion or value. No issue at all.
That comes from the valuer, so it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, another question from Zul Arifin. If the agency has 3 branches, for example, can it maintain just one client's account? Or must he open 3 separate bank accounts for every branch?
Oh yes,
Client's account.
yeah. You see, every branch is an entity by itself. Yeah, it's not. It's not. How to say? It's a formal. It's like another company. The branch is like another company. I think maybe our definition of branch and company, it's actually another entity. So when there's another entity, that entity is also collecting professional fee under its own branch name and things like that. Then yes, you have to have a client's account for each branch. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a different entity. Yes.
Each branch must have his own client's account.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question from Musa Othman is interesting. Can a rent refuse the owner to tag along during the viewing of a property? So can you tell the owner, no, please, you're not allowed to be present?
Actually, most of the time, we have to tell the owner, we say, hey, dear Mr. Owner, as much as how excited you are to see the potential buyer or the tenant of the property, you've engaged my services and I'm here to do that part of the work for you. Of course, you can spy on the guy from the side, but it's best that you don't meet him yet or in person, because let me do the negotiation for you. I don't want anything to affect the price or the rate that could subsequently, I can negotiate for you, see. Or there could be sensitivities and all that. So I think it's best, since you have engaged me, to trust me and leave me to do the work for you.
Actually, I can understand this rent's concern, because I have
try
been
not to have the owner
been
there.
cases where the owner is there and then the tenant is there and then they start exchanging name cards.
That's right.
Oh my God, that is the most worrying part.
Yes. So I always try to say, never mind, leave it to me. I'll do it. You can stand out, you can wait outside, or whatever, just try to minimize. But
Yes.
of course, if the person is there, I mean, it's his house, is currently staying there, then it's quite hard. But I normally try to tell them that if you don't mind, maybe, you just wait in one particular room. I will do the rest of the work. Yeah, try not to let them meet.
Okay. What happened from Alicia Chan? What happens if a buyer pays the earnest deposit using his lawyer's firm's client's account? No problem, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no issue. Yeah.
Client's account, whether it's the agent or the seller's lawyer, right?
Because the under the 9.2.3, I think just now when I mentioned, it was mentioned that you either put it immediately into your client's account or anywhere the client wants you to deposit the money. So if the client say, I want you to put the money with my lawyer, or I want you to transfer the deposit to me as the owner, then based on that instruction, we might have to do it. But every time when the owner says, transfer the deposit into my name, does it raise alarm bells to you, Kate?
That's right. I hope buyers today or tenants today are smarter than that, Okay, Peter Ting has a question. Will the board insist on exclusive appointment? So I did not attend your session on appointments, so maybe you should answer that.
Okay, no, the types of agency appointment is still that 5 now, right? 5, where the exclusive, sole, there is the joint, there's an ad hoc and the lead agency thingy. So no, there's no changes to that, as in there's no dropping of ad hoc or anything like that. So the types of agency still stands. But of course, I think the market is trying to practice more of exclusive, because that gives more protection for both the owner as well as the agent, in the transaction. So it's always better exclusive, but no, it's not a must.
Okay. Next question from Barbara New. This is interesting. So far, we have practiced that the co-agency, meaning the co-agent, is holding the earnest deposit and it is their client's money. The common practice now.
Okay.
I know which standard says that the listing agency should hold the earnest deposit.
Okay. This is under a standard on co-agency, which is the session before mine, which is, that means it would have been 2 days ago. Go back to that session. 2 days ago is what date, Kate? I so lost.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, sorry. Wednesday, you scroll down MIA's Facebook page to Wednesday's date. All the details about co-agency, the monies being put in the listing agents and all that, it's all there. PP Soma covered a very lengthy discussion on their subject matter. Yeah.
But anyway, Barbara, it's changed now, right? The listing agent now should hold the client's money.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we have come to the final, two more questions, three more.
Okay.
Appointment via WhatsApp or email without having signed the viewing form.
Okay.
Are we okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
Are both considered legal document when going to court?
Okay, this WhatsApp and email thing, we have also cross-checked with a lawyer before. They say that yes, they are permissible and admissible in the court of law. As to how strong those are, they are always better than nothing lah.
Yeah, it's true. Better than nothing, yeah. But email nowadays or WhatsApp is permissible.
Permissible,
They
permissible,
do accept
permissible.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question will be, prospect get his wife or relative to approach the vendor and undercut the deal. This happens.
What is the question? I missed the
What
first
happens?
part. What happens if they do that?
At least what can you do if the prospect were to get his wife or a relative to approach the vendor and undercut the deal? I think this is very common in the instances where the owners are still occupying the property and they want to sell,
Okay, so this sort of thing, I think you can. I mean, it's not 100% foolproof lah. But what you can do is that, remember that viewing form, the one that you get the owner to acknowledge that you brought this client. Maybe in that form, you can also mention that this person or maybe his relative may be interested to buy. So you have disclosed, he has acknowledged, he's aware that you are working on this client and his relative to buy. So then I hope that by doing that, it minimizes him doing the deal directly lah. It's not a foolproof way, but it's it's a step better lah.
Yeah, true. More so if the owners are occupying the property which is for sale, more so the renter must make sure that the prospect sign the viewing form and the owner signs the acknowledgement form.
Yes, yep.
So
all the more.
As long as the signature involved, they are a little bit hesitant to do any nonsense. Yeah. Okay. I think we shall come to the last question. Okay. For the earnest deposit received and held by the agency as stakeholder, what happens if the deal is aborted and there is a disagreement between the buyer and seller on the forfeiture of deposit? As stakeholder, that means if the agent is a stakeholder, how do we decide whether the earnest deposit is to be returned to the owner or to the
buyer? Okay, all right. I think this one actually, this kind of situation, most of the time we receive a lot of such complaints to the board on matters of agent don't want to refund my earnest deposit, or the agent don't want to return the forfeited amount deposit to me and things like that. That means owner or buyer lah, they are complaining about the agent. So normally this goes back to what was written in the agreement to purchase or the agreement to rent. If the agreement to purchase or agreement to rent very clearly say that if the buyer or the tenant do not sign the agreement within a certain date, and no extension was requested for, then it's very clear cut that the buyer or the tenant was in default. Okay. So similarly, whether it was the other case or not, whether the owner for whatever reason did not execute the sale and purchase agreement or the tenancy agreement at the specific amount of time or whatever. Okay, those are the most straightforward cases. But sometimes our cases can become very not straightforward. Though the lawyers will get involved, the lawyers are giving comments and they don't agree to this, they don't agree to that. Okay, my advice is if you are uncertain, if it's very straightforward, please execute accordingly. Don't always this matter come to the board. The board receives too many complaints about this. If it's a clear, straightforward case, refund where it's due, follow the agreement to rent, agreement to purchase. If let's say it becomes a dicey situation and you're not too sure, it becomes blur whether who is right, who is wrong, then it's very important to hold on to that money in the client's account first, until the situation is verified. Whether as in, where is it supposed to go lah? Yeah.
True. Actually, being stakeholder is not
Not easy
not
also.
fun. It's not fun. It's a huge
Yeah.
responsibility, especially when you have
Stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Stuck in the
Okay,
middle.
there's one last question from. Can we take one more last question and
last
then
question,
we will call
okay.
it a day?
Mm,
This is via the MIA Facebook from Mr. Benjamin Ng.
okay.
So he says that if a client paid the earnest deposit to purchase a property, is he allowed to lodge a private caveat on the property title deed? I think yes, right?
Yeah, because you have interest on the property. But sometimes some owners will not allow you to do that.
Mm. So I guess this one will be up to the lawyers.
Yeah, up to the lawyers, yeah.
For Mr. Ruben Soon, for an open listing,
Okay.
if there's an agent who put up more than one banner on the property, can the owner ask him to take it down to give space for the other agent to put up?
You see, open listing, you are at you are viewed in the same level as any other agent
Correct.
that's coming on board lah. So I mean, if you have to remove, we remove lah, because that is the request of the owner. The owner said, I want 10 signs on the property, then 10 different agents will put the signs, which actually seriously, please speak to the owner and say that this will only make your property look less desirable lah. So it's
Actually.
not encouraged.
Yeah.
Totally not encouraged.
Okay, I think we should call this for the day. I hope you all enjoy the presentation by I Ching. On MEAS. Am I right? Okay, so do tune in next week then. Thank you so much. I hope y'all, oh, my line is no good.
Yeah. Hey, I got one more thing to add. Just one last thing. When it comes to, I mean, a lot of people have been saying about the, what can we take this person to court, then we take the person to court and all that, right? So please remember that just like when you're keeping tabs on your accounts and all that, everything goes back to documentation.
Correct.
If LHDN comes to your office and wants to look at and wants to investigate a certain matter, everything goes back to documentation. So the more documentation you have, the better for you. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you all had a good time. Bye-bye.